Hey guys, thanks for joining me today. I want to share with you a thought that came to me that really helped me get back on track. I was feeling a little bit flat the last few days because, for those of you who don't exactly know, I'm in Victoria and we're just going into the second round of lockdown and kids aren't going back to school. The media is starting to talk about making us wear masks when we go outside. You can see that they're inciting into the general population feelings of divide by, making, there's two different ways, there's many, but there's primarily two different dimensions going on at the moment. There's people who are afraid of a virus that's going to come and kill them, and so they need to run and hide and lock down and, all that. And then you've got the people who are afraid of the people who are telling them that there's this virus and telling them that they need to stop breathing air, don't go outside and don't hug your friends and all that sort of thing. So these are the two primary realities that are kind of playing out where I'm at. And the first time we went into lockdown, it was kind of a little bit novel and everyone had a rest, which was great. For me, it was the beginning of a great education. I had to, 10 years ago, I obviously did a lot of truther study and, David Icke and all that sort of stuff, and it was, quite fascinating, but then put it to the side, didn't think much of it. And then, of course, when this started rolling out, for me, it was like I recognise what this is. So, and that got me back into it again. So this second round sort of got me a bit flat today, and I think it was because I had probably been facing a little bit too much in the visible world. So what I mean by that is there's two wars going on right now. One's in the visible world and one's in the invisible world. And you need to know about both. Most people need to start at the visible. And what that is about, getting educated about what's actually going on here. It's, to turn away from mainstream media and it clears your mind a little bit, and then you begin to see things a little bit differently. And from there, it'll lead you down a path into some very surprising, beautiful, and deep spiritual concepts. And then you realise, and that's what they call the Great Awakening, I suppose. We are in a Great Awakening, and it's about truth. It's about awakening to truth, awakening to the truth of our reality in the physical world, and also in the invisible world. Lately, I have probably focused a little bit too much in the 3D and 4D physical world stuff, and that has shifted me off my track a little bit. And today I felt it. I felt the chemistry in my body being not quite right, and so have shaken all that off me. I've jumped off Facebook. I've deactivated my account for a little while, and certainly don't watch the news and all that sort of thing. And then I asked Source and I invoked my higher self to help me get the clarity to see what I'm meant to be doing in this point. Like, I feel like there's something I need to be doing. I want to make sure that I'm going to do that, and service to whoever needed, service to the people, service to us, service to me, all that sort of stuff. So the insight that I had, it was about understanding that there is no right and wrong, okay? Now, that's a really different, let me explain that. So in spiritual teachings, they talk often about duality, how there's opposites, and the opposites, the play out of the opposites is what life actually is. And, without this, you don't have this. And that war, that's just kind of everything. It's like love, hate, hot, cold, good, evil, all of that. If there was no duality, it would just be like this sort of nothingness. And that's a really, really deep concept. And I've tried to jump over explaining that because it's hard to understand. But I suppose that's enough. Just that is enough for now to help me get this point that I'm trying to express to you over the line. The best way that I understood that there was no duality, which was a concept that I heard recently, and it was about, someone was talking about, say, temperature, for example, because you've got hot and cold. Well, there is no hot and cold. They're not separate things. They're actually both temperature. And at one end you've got hot, and at the other end you've got cold. And that, for some reason in my mind, made me click over to the fact that, I think I'm beginning to understand that there is no real duality, or duality is mixed or whatever. So let's just go over that because that's very deep. I want to talk about the dark plan. It's very scary to a lot of people, especially when you're just opening up to it, especially the people who are only beginning to see it. And it's very dark, so many different levels to it. And once you start to open it up, it is like there's a veil that gets taken off your perception, and you begin to revisit things that you've seen your whole entire life, and you're seeing them through different eyes. And you think to yourself, how did I not see that before? It's amazing. It's actually the part of the Great Awakening. It's incredible. And without this dark plan, the agenda, the Illuminati, the lockdown, all of this stuff, what they're trying to do, without any of that, there wouldn't be so many people that are waking up. Now you have to think of it in that way, because the dark plan is as necessary as all of the positive that's going on in the world right now. So there's the light and then there's the dark. Without the dark, then we won't get to this Great Awakening, and we won't get to where we're headed, which is, some call it the 5D. We won't go into 5D Ascension, and we won't get to the New Earth, and we won't break free. That's what's going on here. And we can either look at life and focus exactly only on the dark plan and be in fear, or even just look at the virus and be in fear of that. Or we can shift our perception, and it can be just on what this dark plan, this agenda, this attempted takeover, what it's causing, which is it's adding to the Great Awakening. And there's many spiritual guides that I'm listening to that say that the Illuminati, for example, I don't know if that's the right word for me to be using, the cabal, the deep state, whatever, those guys and women, they didn't anticipate the Great Awakening, and maybe they did, they probably did, but it doesn't matter, because essentially that's what's happening. So many people are waking up, and the more we wake up and face the truth, and the truth is in many ways quite awful. A lot of you that are down the rabbit hole to a certain point, when they start talking about what they're finding in tunnels and things like that, it's unbearable. It's unbearable to learn that information. But we don't stop that, and we don't move forward and get to the place where the humans need to be unless we go through that. And so this is the Great Awakening, and let's be grateful for the dark plan, because that is what we needed. It's what we need. Without it, we're just carrying on the way we were before. People were getting hurt and in unthinkable ways, and most of the planet is unhappy because they're around in living in scarcity and all of that stuff, and being separated from their higher selves, separated from their infinite God selves, knowing what their power is and what the humans have, like the potential of humans, like separated from your own human potential, which is terrible. Now, don't forget that this is something that we have all agreed to and signed up for on a soul level. So when you're thinking about yourself, or even children, if you've got kids like I do, this is something that they signed up for. I signed up for it. They signed up for it, because we are the leaders. We are all going to take down this dark energy and rebuild and create a new earth for not just us in this moment. It's actually more about the future. There was a beautiful opening ceremony done at the ITNJ's World Health, the World Sovereignty Summit, and it was this lady, and I'm sorry that I'm not going to be using too much direct information about this because I don't know her name and all that sort of stuff, but I know she was from New Zealand. But basically she opened up the Sovereignty Summit with a channeling the future generations thanking us for what we're doing. And it was beautiful, because it made me understand that this isn't about me and my children in this moment. This is about taking planet Earth and shifting it to where it's meant to be, like that whole shift that will change generation after generation, because this is not how we've been living it. It's not working out for 99% of the population. Like, it's not. 15,000 children under 5 die of starvation every single day. That, once you I mean, we kind of got desensitized with that. But now that the veil is lifting and we're going through the Great Awakening, a lot of it is revisiting that, just that one thing alone, and realize that's not okay. Especially when you think about the reason why that's happening, and that is because we can't find enough fictitious money, like money that we make up, money that is basically just numbers on a screen that's created by a bunch of private enterprise, an elite group who make it up. It's not real. Like, they've used it as control. Like, money, we feel like it's kept all of us back. It's kept all of us back from our sovereignty, from our freedom, from helping and caring. It's holding back our humanity. The lack of money has killed our humanity, and it's not even real. That, as I can see, is part of the Great Awakening as well. So my point is this. Let's just tune in only to the part of the dark plan that is facilitating the Great Awakening, and what we're doing and why we're doing this and where we're headed. This does two things. It does a few things. One of it's going to make you feel better, and it's also going to make you help manifest that timeline, which is the one that we want. We all know about manifesting. We all know how it works. We've been learning about it for a long time through people like Dr. Joe Dispenza and people like that. So we can't pour all of our energy into the dark plan and manifest it. We need to learn about it, and we need to understand it enough so that we know that to fight against it. But let's not feed it. What we want to feed is the new earth. That's the point. And the last thing I'm going to say, because this video is about trying to help us feel better, is that all of the spiritual leaders that I speak to, all the ones that channel all the interdimensional beings, all of them will say, they all say the same thing, is that we have already won this war. We have already won. It was won before it even started. And I can't explain this exactly because it's all tied into the concept that time is not linear, and time is just a human concept. Blows my mind, but something to do with that. But we have all won. But it doesn't mean that we just sit around watching Netflix. We have to do our part. And our part, and I'll talk about this in other videos, but the best thing that you can do is you can wake people up when you can. But, some people can't or won't be woken up. So you've got to be really mindful of that, because you don't want to just be creating fear, because that makes the problem worse. You want to make sure that you're doing it in a way that is a benefit. But the other part is, the most important part is to get yourself in alignment. So you need to be in alignment. Just think of yourself as a little mini earth. So what you do with yourself and your own spiritualism and your own alignment, and integrating your shadows, which is another thing I'm going to talk a lot about. I'm going to interview some people about it. But that is the best thing that you can do. So bless you and love you all. And sorry if this isn't as professional as lots of other videos that you've watched. I'm still learning, and I'm going to just do the best that I can to share with some of the thoughts, and try and keep sharing ideas about supporting us through this Great Awakening, and supporting us through interpreting and managing this dark plan, because sometimes it's just very overwhelming. But I love you.